Blog Talk Radio.
I'm Gabriel Rich. Be sure to tune into The Rich Report, Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Each week, I'll explore topics and events that are relevant to the Indigenous Negro Indian people and the communities we live in. It's all about living, learning, and thriving as we build both our physical and spiritual infrastructure through intellectual empowerment. This is a revolution of your mind. Get your mind together and get off white supremacy. It happens every Thursday. I hope you tune in. Let's get together and dialogue. Oh, nah.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rich Report, sponsored by Ame'rican Americans and African, and broadcast live on Blog Talk Radio in the stereo. Hey. You know what, guys? I'm still buzzing about the Soul System Summit last week. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that show, and once again, I'd like to thank Friday Foster, Foxy Brown, Cleopatra Jones, and Sparkle for coming on to the show and dialogue. That was great to see sisters dialogue like that. Oh, and AKA Nisha Michelle, Phoenix Moon, Janet Warmwind, and Ruby Scott. So those are the names I give those guys. Okay, so tonight. Oh, and keep in mind. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Wait a minute. Let's do a sound check here. How do I sound, guys? I got one report that I sound pretty choppy. So how do I sound? Can you feel free to type it on my post, hit me up, inbox me. Okay, come in fuzzy. All right, guys, hold on. Hold the phone. I have a tendency for just this type. I have a contingency. Don't go anywhere. Hold on. Still here, people? Block Talk Radio, man. Okay. How about, oh, no. I can hear it. Do you guys hear an echo? I hear it. Yeah, still low and choppy. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you, Kiki, for typing the same words over and over, establishing that it's low and choppy. I really appreciate it. Okay. Okay, I got one more last trick. Bear with me, people. I got one more last trick for you. All right, hold on. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Okay.
What about now?
How do
I sound? Better?
Really?
Even now?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
wait a minute.
Just a minute. I got
one last thing. One last thing. And I hope that this works better. Okay. So far, 8 minutes into that. Okay. Just bear with me. I got one last thing that I can do to try to solve this situation. Up and down. Sometimes not so. But we're going to give this a shot. It's going to be difficult as fuck because, well, it is. You just going to have to trust me. Okay, so here we go. Okay.
It's gloves. Okay. Okay. One minute. I think I got it. Wait a minute. Okay, I still sound choppy, don't I? Oh, let me do that.
Okay, how do I sound now? Is it still bad? Really? Yeah, see now, an echo. Okay, now guys, I am on a landline right now. I am actually on a landline, and we still got an echo, still sound far away, just a bad connection. The second time, my second contingency was using a cell phone to call in. Okay, use the cell phone, still choppy. I'm on a landline right now, and we still got this. And we still got the echo. Not sure what to do about this, peeps. Not sure what to do about this at all. Okay, wait a minute. I got one more thing, one more trick, and after that, I'm out of tricks. Okay, so hold on, bear with me. With me, Pete.
And we had a really good show tonight. Okay, bear with me. Where's that, son?
Patient be fine. What you stand out there, man? Patient be fine. Yeah. Now, I want you to say, go. Yes. Now say,
Okay, can you hear me now? Anyone? Yes? No? Okay, you can hear me now? I don't know what happened, Pete. I have no idea. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say. I don't know. What can I tell you, man? This is okay. What did I blink off at? What question did I blink off at? It doesn't matter now because it's. But I'll get back to share. I was talking about sharecropping,
That's what I was talking about. Someone asked me a question on the difference between sharecropping and slavery, right? And I was giving that answer. I'm sorry you guys didn't hear that because it was some good stuff. But, okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. Really? You can't. So some of you can hear me. Some of you cannot. Is that it? And it's 9:30 fucking 6. 20:35, huh? Okay, so you can hear me, Clee. Okay, and you hear me, Shay. So you can't hear me, Siddell. You can't hear me at all. Okay, so you hear me too, Swiftwind. Thank you. Okay, all right. Okay, here's what we're going to do then, okay? We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and hopefully we'll survive this madness together. Cool? Okay, so, all right. I was talking about sharecropping, and so I'm going to play a song that basically epitomizes sharecropping as far as, for me, it certainly does. Okay, so we'll be back in 3 minutes, and we're going to get started. Damn it. Apologize, everyone, but, again, not my fault. We'll be back.
I was born and raised down in Alabama on a farm way back up in the woods. I was so ragged that folks used to call me Patches. Papa used to tease me about it, of course deep down inside he was hurt because he'd done all he could. My papa was a great old man. I can see him with a shovel in his hand. See, education he never had. He did wonders when the times got bad. The little money from the crops he raised barely pays the bills we made. Oh, life had kicked him down to the ground. When he tried to get up, life would kick him back down. One day, Papa called me to his dying bed, put his hands on my shoulders, and in tears he said, Patches, I'm depending on you, son, to pull the family through. My son, it's all left up to you. 2 days later, Papa passed away, and I became a man that day. So I told Mama I was gonna quit school, but she said that was Daddy's strictest rule. So every morning before I went to school, I fed the chickens and I chopped wood too. Sometimes I felt that I couldn't go on. I wanted to leave, just run away from home. But I would remember what my daddy said, with tears in his eyes on his dying bed. He said, Patches, I'm depending on you, son. I tried to do my best. It's up to you to do the rest. Then one day a strong rain came and washed all the crops away. And at the age of 13, I thought I was carrying the weight of the whole world on my shoulders. And Mama knew what I was going through, 'cause every day I had to work the field, 'cause that's the only way we got our meals. See, I was the oldest of the family, and everybody else depended on me. Every night I heard my mama pray, Lord, give him strength to make another day. So years have passed and all the kids were grown. The angels took Mama to a brand new home. Lord knows, people, I shedded tears, but my daddy's voice helped me through the years. Saying, Patches, I'm depending on you, son, to pull the family through. My son, it's all left up to you. Oh, I can still hear Papa's voice say, Patches, I'm depending on you, son. I've tried to do my best. It's up to you to do the rest. I can still hear Papa when he said, Patches, I'm depending on you, son, to pull the family through. My son, it's all left up to you.
And we're back. I can tell that we got a really, really lousy reception here, because that's the worst I've ever heard a song that I played. I mean, that sounded horrible. I don't know what the deal is. I can't tell you, people, but I do know that sucked. But the song didn't suck, of course. That's Patches by Clarence Carter. That's a Grammy-winning song. But, our reception is lousy. And at 9:40, I'm wondering, okay, let's take a poll. Should we go on? We got calls on the line, so I guess we should go ahead and knock it out and get through it. We're going to have to do it. So, okay, let's jump to war. Okay? And again, I want to apologize to everybody because, well, I don't know what happened. Okay, you hear music in the background. How did the music sound to you guys? So I was out for that long? I was out for that long where I wasn't heard? Really? You had to call back 3 times, Nacey? Yeah. Oh. Okay, well, we're here now, and I can be heard now, so let's get on with the show. How about it? The show must go on. I know people are going to think, well, you're right, Patrick. They're going to think that there was no show. Sorry about that. I really am. But, well, you know. Okay, let's get to it. And in case you're wondering what I'm doing, my beer is a little frozen, so it's just coming up, and I'm having to keep the drinking at spilling all over the place. Hey, don't look at me like that. I'm quite sure you guys drink beer, wine on your broadcast, too. I'm just fucking with y'all. But, okay. All right, so here we go. All right. Tonight we're talking about war, right? We're talking about Indigenous war, our methods, our strategies, our tactics. We're talking about our sterling record. Again, we clearly have a sterling record because, number one, again, people, you don't sign treaties with people whose ass you kick. You give them terms and conditions. That's what we're actually getting now. We're getting the terms and conditions now because we're still at war. Unbeknownst to a lot of us, we're still at war. And what they've got us to do now is what they've got us to do back in the day. Go to war with ourselves. The whole black on black crime thing, that's all it is. It's just warring with ourselves. And they're instigating every last bit of it. They're instigating all of it, actually. And we're playing, we're falling for it, really just like we did then. Because a lot of the times when they won these wars, like the Pequot Wars and the like back in the 17th century, they got other tribes to join in, right? So, but, of course, that's the only way they're going to get us. Okay, so I have a few questions for you guys, all right? How great of warriors do you think we were? That's one question. 2, how great do you think our women warriors were? Because we had women warriors. There weren't too many tribes where your women couldn't handle themselves. Case in point, you take a sister like me, right? She's easygoing, she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, she's intelligent, but you can bet your last sweet potato pie she will knock a bitch out if you press her wrong. So obviously women could fight. Not to mention the fact that I don't know how old some of you guys are, if you can remember. Do you remember women used to keep lye in their purse? They would keep a little can of lye, a little bottle of lye in their purse that they would dash on people. You ever heard that? Where people, a woman would dash lye on you, say you slept with her husband or this or that, got into an altercation, and she pulled that lye out and burned your face off with it. You ever heard that? Well, what do you think that comes from? Yeah, that's us. But okay, and 2, okay, it took prostitutes up until I'd say the 1830s, 1840s. All right, something happened in the 1800s where Europeans took a quantum leap, literally a quantum leap. And that includes weaponry as well, right? Now, we didn't invent the rifle. They did, of course. But who do you think invented the modern-day rifle, the Winchester and the Colt pistol? Do you think they actually invented those things? Or do you think that we had a hand in that? Because here's the thing. When it comes to rifles, most white people who came over here, they want to tell you about the frontier and how they had rifles and they won the West with their rifles. No. Most Wasechus who had come over here had never even had access to any weapons whatsoever. Before rifles, they couldn't even own a sword you remember the revolts. They're farmers, so they've got shovels, they've got pitchforks, they've got hoes and stuff like that to revolt with. They don't have any real weapons. So the same applied here. We actually had at one point more rifles than they did. The rifle became the Indian way. So much for that. We clearly had, if that's the case, to perfect it. And as Falls Mystic posted in 4A a few weeks back, gunpowder was invented here in the Americas, in BC. So, yeah, we knew a little thing about gunpowder, too. This belief that, we just lived in huts and, all this other stuff, that's the $5 Indian stuff. That is not us. That is not us at all. So, okay. So, let's get into it, right? And feel free to call in, and particularly to all of you who are like ex-military. If you're ex-military, I'd love to hear from you guys, right? Say, for an example, all right, before I get started, my boy Anthony McClin, right? Let's see, he was in the Marines, I do believe. And because I told him I was going to mention this because I thought it was pretty cool. All right? He says, here's a full input I have. I'm a 2-time combat vet, Desert Storm, and Somalia. The E3 Lance Corporals and E4 Corporals are the backbone of all the branches, especially the Marines. The indigenous ones, your brother knows what I'm talking about, and my brother would. He was in the Marines. So I don't know if my brother's going to call in tonight. I hope he does because, he's really out for I was out for 30 minutes. Gee whiz. Thank you, Kiki. 30 whole minutes. Sorry about that, people. I really am sorry about that. I really am. Okay, but I'm going to text my brother to let him know I'm on and to call in, right? Because, well, he's my brother. So, oh, gee whiz. I'm having a hell of a time right now, people. I don't know what the deal is. Right? Somebody got roots on me. So, okay. Let's get down into it. Check out a few things, right? Now we're talking about the belief that, okay, when you think of Indians fighting cowboys per se, which is actually an oxymoron because cowboys and Indians are one and the same. Okay, but let's say when you see these Westerns and you see the Indians riding on a horse. Of course, we didn't use saddles. That's true. We were one with the horse. But in this whole belief that we didn't have horses before white people, stop it. That's not true. On the East Coast, you're quite correct. In the big sky countries where the oldest equine skeletal remains have been found, no, there were horses there. The Europeans talk about the fact that they rode on horses and the fact that they also were surprised that they didn't have saddles and they were better riders. So, yeah, there were horses out west. Big sky country, Montana, Wyoming, yeah, Utah, there were horses there, Pete. Okay, so, I'm going to, for, what is this? Okay, this is from the Daily Beast, right? And it says Native Americans invented our gun culture, right? And they're saying it not in a bad way. They're saying it actually in a way of because we carried rifles for hunting in the whole nine. We had it at one point in time. We look, the way white people teach their kids to shoot now, we did the same thing then. We taught our kids to shoot. Remember, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts is nothing more than indigenous training. That's all it is for kids. That's all it is. That's all it is. Okay, so you learn to become a brave as a young kid, and girls, they did more than just basket weaving and cooking. Don't fool yourselves in that regard. Okay, but now it's not coming up. Let's go over to this one then. Okay. Oh boy, and this one isn't coming up either. Somebody's fucking with me today, people, and I don't know what the deal is, but we're gonna power on through. Okay, this is talking about, let's say, George Washington. We're gonna go back. We go back further than that, but let's go to George Washington. Okay, George Washington's Virginians were beaten back from Fort Duquesne in 1755 by the Ottawa and the Potawatomi tribe. Okay? Okay, now 600 of the 800 French-led troops were Indian. So the French got the Indian tribes to come in and beat them back. George Washington did something, right, that, quite frankly, he was considered a hero for. Now, but before then, you stayed and you died with your troops. He retreated, him and British General John Forbes, right? Okay, and they reflected on this kind of fighting and the importance of individual judgment when armies are dispersed, meaning that Indians, right, were individual fighters. They got their game plan from the chief, of course, but they were individual fighters. They generally went out and they individually knew what the game plan was and they handled their business. Meanwhile, okay, Washington's troops, they weren't thinkers. They do what they're told and that's it. And if they're told wrong, they're going to do wrong and they're going to follow it to the letter, even to the point of death or injury, right? Okay, so he says, John Forbes went further, concluding that we must comply and learn the art of war from the enemy Indians or anything else who have seen the country and war carried on it, right? Okay, so here's the deal. A lot of these so-called treaties, and this woman claims that there were 375 treaties with Native Americans, whatever. There were more than that. But while many were concluded hopefully, even earnestly, none of them ended well for Indian tribes. From George Washington forward, American presidents were confronted with the problem of America's coveting and taking Indian land. Well, you weren't Americans. That's the problem. Moreover, from the time of the French and Indian War in 1754, what would become the American Army were fighting Indians. So from 1754 on, most of the American Army were fighting Indians. Not Europeans, because most of them had no war experience, but Indians. From 1754 on, people fighting Indians. Okay? So, okay, hold up. Really quickly, 267, you're on the Rich Report. What's up, bro? Hey.
Is that me? Hey.
Yeah.
Dave, is that me?
Yes, sir.
Hey.
What's going on, Paul?
Nothing much, man. This is a great show you're having tonight.
It's a horrible show. I got booted out.
Yeah,
I got silenced.
technical.
I got everything, but we're working through it.
Okay. Okay.
It is what it is, bro. But hey, we're working through it, man. We're working through it. All right. So check this out, Falls. Okay. Here, finally did it come up. It's still not coming up. This is ridiculous. Okay. I got another one for you. Okay. I got some tidbits here for you to ask for this. All right. Okay. Indian warfare. Let's get off into Indian warfare, Paul. Right? Okay.
Yep.
Now, it says what? The history of the Indian warfare. This is Indian warfare. This is Warpath 2, peacepipes.com. All right? And it is the history of the Indian warfare, including details of the attitudes towards war, the weapons used, and the methods of war, which were adopted by many different native Indian tribes, Aborigine Indian tribes, thank you. The use of war paint was important to Indian warfare. War paint had spiritual and protective significance, but was also used to terrify and intimidate enemies, of course. Okay. The achievements and victories of warriors were often reflected in the symbolic images of their war paint. All right, so this will give some interesting facts and information. But even in saying that, okay, there's on my post, there is a warrior who, one, has a jaguar costume on, a uniform. It's really a uniform, right? This is Mayan. The other one had an eagle uniform, okay? Now, understand something. Okay, if they had these uniforms on where you see he would have the head of the jaguar on top of his head and he's wearing like really like a jaguar suit. But the deal about that is this. That wasn't just a jaguar suit. That jaguar suit was reinforced. It was basically armor, lightweight armor, so much so that it could almost stay from a short distance. It could stop an arrow, right? Mm-hmm. What the Wasichus found out using muskets, Because we didn't just go into these wars bare-chested. That is actually a lie. Sometimes we did, sometimes we did not, depending upon the situation. When we knew they were shooting, we started wearing our armor. The whole Kevlar vest thing that you see today comes from us. We wore something, depending upon the tribe, say Algonquin in particular. When they went into war, they had like a breastplate, right? It was made of a bamboo type of material, but it was reinforced. It was dipped in, it ain't turpentine is in my mind, but it ain't turpentine. It was dipped in, but it reinforced it. And again, it could stop an arrow shot unless the arrow went between the slits of it and you got somebody. It could also stop a musket bullet shot or flintlock shot, because that's what they were using, muskets, flintlock muskets, okay? It could stop that shot. Yeah, the guy would be hurt. Yeah, he would have a bad bruise. Depending upon how close he was to being, the distance he was from being shot, he might even break a rib, but he would survive, right? Now, you know what their armor consisted of. Their armor was just heavy and clunky and all this other stuff. So this ability to move on the run like this with those, that's us too, all right? So also the situation of fighting on land, air, and sea, all right? Those mines that I was talking about, the jaguar, he fights on both land, air, and sea. The eagle fights from the air. You had a lot of tribes that fought from the trees.
You know what's funny about that, Gabe? You just said that land, air, and sea, and we know they get all their names from us for their branches of the military, but also it's a cartoon that it's a cartoon that became big over there on British TV called Thunder. What was that again? It's called Thunderbird. Mm-hmm. And in Thunderbird, if you notice, all their team and all their technology is covering land, air, and sea. But then when you hear that word Thunderbird, who has the Thunderbird? Anybody else been talking about the Thunderbird? The Thunderbird is here.
Right.
Thunderbird is here.
Exactly. The Seminoles fought from the trees. Right, the Mayans fought from the trees. Actually, there aren't too many tribes, from the Chippewa to any Algonquin, tribes, the Chickasaw, any of them. Particularly if you lived in the bayou or if you lived in the swamps, that didn't fight from the tree. Right. So a lot of the times, even in say the 1800s, when they're sending the Union soldiers into the swamps, they get lit up because they're looking below that these people are going to come from the water. And some of them would come from up from the water. That's fighting on land, air, and sea. All right. But a lot of them also came from the trees, right? They're shooting down first to weaken their, and then they just come down. And when they swing down, it's over. Game's over. So that's one of the things
remember that scene in The Revenant? I don't know how many people have seen The Revenant where they called us tree niggers. Remember that one scene in The Revenant? And that was alluding. And you're like, wait a minute, who else they call that word? And they were like, them trees, and they said it right in there. Those are the that you just said, from the trees.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, I grew up with some cats who could scale a tree, climb a tree. I mean, not like nobody's business, like walking. They could climb a tree that fast. And once they were in the trees, not trying to be funny, but them cats were like chimps in the trees. They got well, so they were able to just navigate the limbs and stuff so well. Really. I mean, almost like simians, man. I know of a few guys who were like that. I used to stay in the trees as a kid, and I can tell you right now, and I was a good climber, but I knew cats who, they were just at home in the trees. At home. Mm-hmm. Okay, so just think about it this way. You got Geronimo 101 call sign. Okay, battalion is called Geronimo. H&S Company is Huron. Alpha Company, Apache. Bravo Company, Blackfoot. Charlie Company, Cherokee. Weapons Company, Whitehorse. All right? CAAT platoons, Tomahawk 1 and 2. 81 millimeter mortar platoon, Mohawk. Scout Sniper platoon, Seminole. Okay? Advisor team, Dakota. Police advisor team, Comanche. Police advisor team 2, Shawnee. Now, these are the names that they use. Now, this is all through their military. I'm not, we're not even going to talk about the fact that they use the Tomahawk missile, the Apache helicopter. They got a whole lot of They got a whole lot of weapons that are named after what. Some made it, some didn't make the cut, some aren't anymore. The Apache, the Apache attack helicopter, the Black Hawk utility helicopter, the Lakota utility helicopter, the Chinook heavy lift transport helicopter, the Kiowa observation helicopter. Right now, remember these are things in the air, but they're using Indian names. All right, the Cayuse observation helicopter, the Creek trainer helicopter, right? The Huron transport aircraft, the Ute electronic intelligence aircraft, the Tomahawk cruise missile, and these are the ones that they retired. All right, the Iroquois utility helicopter, the Choctaw transport helicopter, Seminole utility aircraft, Shawnee transport helicopter, Mohawk twin-engine observation aircraft, the Mescalero trainer aircraft. None of these, these have been decommissioned, and some that never, they pretty much played around with but never made the cut. The Navajo experimental cruise missile, the Cheyenne attack helicopter, the Comanche attack helicopter, the Arapaho armed reconnaissance helicopter, and there's plenty of more. There's plenty more. All right, that they use that they don't really, tell you about. Think about this now. Okay, here we're going to get into strategy real quick. Okay, usually the causes of Indian warfare were revenge. Warfare for killing of a close relative. All right, defense, obviously. Beliefs. Chiefs, medicine men, or shamans might have had a vision telling them they should fight. Yeah. Desire of warriors for recognition, honor, and status. The need for warfare to expand tribal lands. The need for warfare to acquire lands, because we fought amongst each other. And to think that we didn't, that would be, that wouldn't be very smart. Okay, so also the whole deal of Indian, the practice of taking scalps was adopted by many Native Indian tribes. But if we're honest about that, we got that from Wasichus, who started scalping us first. A lot of them had a thing about our hair, and they would scalp us and keep the hair. They keep the hair for like a rabbit's foot. They would keep it for years. So we started scalping them back, right? So a lot of the times, right, they would mount it on their sticks. The Indians would, psychological purposes. You see somebody's scalp mounted on their stick that they're going to hit you with, you're probably going to just take up and run if you can't shoot it, right? So, but we didn't invent scalp. Okay, I have a list of weapons, all right, that we use, because we only think of the tomahawk, which is not true. Actually, Indian is what? You use the axe, tomahawk, war clubs. And there's a particular war club that we use that looked like the gun butt of a rifle, right? Now, we patterned it after the rifle. Now, this is why I don't think the Winchester was invented because remember, a lot of our clubs, your clubs served a double purpose. Just like a Swiss Army knife, our engines pretty much had weapons that had dual purposes. They were not only weapons but tools. A lot of the times, your war club also served as a peace pipe. You smoke through it. You put tobacco in, you smoke. If you were pretty much a scout and you were going to go to another tribe and you guys were discussing something of war and you wanted in, you took that club, you used the peace pipe and you smoked with it. All right? You take it back to your chief and they know what's going on. Okay, so it was more than just, let's put it this way. We didn't have swords because from what I was told, most Indians didn't really see the efficiency of swords. If you take a man who's the best swordsman and take a guy who's got a tomahawk or an axe, right? Okay, and or he's using a club, or he's using a slingshot, or he's using and we did have shields too. This belief that we didn't have shields is crazy. We had shields. All right, but you take him against the best swordsman, and more than likely, he might not make it. That swordsman might not make it. My brother can't get the show.
Especially the slingshot.
Yes, especially the slingshot. All right. Not to mention they also use blow darts, and the knives sometimes are bone, particularly buffalo. That's a strong bone. But we also had metal knives before they got here as well. I mean, guys, this belief that we were like prehistoric before white folks came here is just that. Okay, so let's get to war methods and tactics.
The Apache knife fighting technique was bad. It was bad with that.
Right. Also, you had like the special forces that you have in the Army. Now, understand that Army training is Roman training, guys. If you were in the Army, you received Roman training because that's what the U.S. Army is based on, Rome. Okay? But when you get into the special forces, Rangers, things of that nature, you're now going to indigenous training. All right? And when you get to the Marines, that is nothing but indigenous training. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
We were the Marines before they were, which is one of the reasons why they adapted the Marines. And the Marines is also the smallest branch. It's also the least funded branch. They want to keep them pretty much mean, agitated, and with an attitude, so they could get out there and, just really, fuck people up. But that is indigenous training. All the Marines is indigenous training, and it's individualized training. I don't care if you're in the Marines, if you're scrubbing pots for 4 to 6 years. I don't care if you're working in the chow hall. I don't care what you're doing. You still better have a marksman shooter deal going with you. You better be a marksman. They train you to be a killer first and foremost. Everything else, they don't call it an MOS there. Whatever your duty or detail you're going to do after that's secondary. First, you're a killer, and you're an individualized killer. The Army doesn't teach you to be individualized. The Army teaches you to follow rules and instructions. Even if your lieutenant is fucked up, it doesn't make a difference, right? Or your colonel's fucked up, it doesn't make a difference. You're going to follow his rules until somebody gets it right. Marines, not so much. You have to think on your own. That is indigenous warfare. Indigenous warfare. All right. In terms of an archer, because we were the best archers in the world. Average archer could get off 20 arrows in less than a minute. 20 arrows, that's average. That's average. Now, just think about your above average guy getting off about 30 arrows in a minute's time. 60 seconds, he gets off 30 arrows. Think about that for a second. And he's accurate. He's deadly accurate. Did you ever see American Gods?
Some of them, I was going to say, some of them can shoot about 3 or 4 of them arrows at one time.
Yes, exactly. You're shooting 3 to 4 arrows at a time, and they all hit their mark.
Yep.
Something to think about. Okay, so
and then one other fact too. I learned about the arrows, because we were doing a little archery not too long ago, and I found it kind of amazing that the skills we had back then, we could hit something from like 200 yards out.
Yes,
I mean that's two football field lengths.
That's 2 football fields.
Something all the way out there.
You could shoot an arrow. Yeah, we could shoot an arrow like they could shoot a rifle. Actually, we could shoot an arrow better than they can shoot a rifle. And then when we started shooting rifles, we could shoot a rifle better than they could shoot a rifle. Think about that. That's in terms of we would pretty much a lot of the times when we were attacked Europeans, it was at sunrise. It was all about stealth and surprise attacks. All right. So in Indian warfare, stealth and craftiness were most important. Warriors could creep silently into an unsuspecting camp and make a surprise attack. In such approaches, it was necessary to use every method of concealment, every method. And a lot of the times, they would send just a few in, right, to pretty much instigate something, start a dust up, and then bring the troops in to converge on them after the fact. And remember, a lot of the armies, we didn't have armies where they're literally 8,000, strong. And also remember how the Europeans fought before fighting us. They stood in a line, they had their muskets, and they fired on each other. And whoever was left standing, they reloaded, and they fired against each other. And then finally, when they're out of ammunition, they then use, they drop their rifles, they take out their little swords, and they go at it, and they kill each other off. That was their idea of war, right? So, okay, you come over here and remember now, when the Europeans first came here, they tried to take it by force initially and got lit. So what do? what do you do after that? You have to adopt their style. Or if you can't adopt their style, you have to befriend Indians who will fight for you, which is what they did. And in a lot of situations, we were fighting amongst each other, and they were instigating. Yeah, and they had made some, and usually they reneged on the deal that they had made with that tribe, right? They usually reneged, okay? And a lot of the times, even when we fought each other, we would take those who were left behind from that. Say we raided another tribe's village. Then we take those Indians and we take them into our tribe to bolster our tribe for the ones that we lost, right?
Yep.
Now, Europeans don't get down like that. They just tortured you and killed you down to the last man, woman, and child. They just killed you. But not us, right? So let's see. What is the one I was looking for?
You know what, something I just thought about, Gabe? This probably
What's
hit home pretty big, too. Remember that movie Mel Gibson played in? What was it called? The Patriot?
Which one? Which movie?
Patriot. The Patriot.
The Patriot?
With Mel Gibson.
Yeah,
with Mel Gibson. That was all our fighting skills, techniques. And in fact, he told you in the movie he learned all that from the Indigenous.
Yeah.
Okay? He had the tomahawk. If you notice, he wasn't fighting on a straight line. Just like you said, that's how they would fight.
That's how they would fight.
He wasn't fighting on a straight line.
Okay, so, and then, again now I'm having difficulty bringing this stuff up, which is crazy. And I can't see anybody on Blog Talk. Okay, I got to see how many calls I got. I can't see what's going on now. Blog Talk is like blinking in and blinking out. It's kind of crazy. Okay, let's see.
People can't hear.
What's that?
I was saying people can hear us though, right? Everybody, unlike before. Remember, certain people could hear, certain people couldn't.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, man. I don't know. I knew the deal when I saw that no one had called in like a minute before the show, and people actually had called in, but I couldn't see it. There's Blog Talk is, they're up, they're down, man. I don't know what to say.
Up and down, yeah.
Yeah, they're up and down, man. But you could tell with that song. And again, I called from a landline earlier, and I still sounded horrible. So that should tell you something right there. But let me bring this up now, see if I can finally bring this up. Okay, now also remember this, okay? The psychological tactics that we used were off the charts. A lot of the times we would study the enemy before we fought them, right? And they wouldn't know we were there studying them. Of course, again, a lot of the times we're in the trees or we're in such camouflage that they had never seen a camouflage like our camouflage before, ever. So a lot of the times we would sit back and study them, study their mannerisms, study how they got down. So when we did do battle with them, we would use psychological we would use a communication, like the yipping and all that other stuff. That actually was communication. It wasn't that you yipped, it was how you yipped, the tone that you used, right? So that person, those people are actually speaking and communicating. I don't think the Wasichus picked that up until probably about maybe the 1800s. They finally picked it up then. But we would do psychological things to them, right? Whereas, okay, let's say we're on horseback and we're riding in towards them. Let's say they've got cannons. Well, yeah, they got cannons. They got their muskets. They got all this. And remember, they used the musket all the way up until the 30s, 40s. They used the musket, right? We didn't ride in a line. We actually rode in bunches like buffalo, right? So, because if you're riding in the line, you can just pick everybody off in the line. Okay, if you're riding in bunches like the buffalo herds do, it's difficult because you can't. There's no pattern. So by the time they converge on you, you're probably out of ammunition trying to fire at them because remember you got to load those bad boys after you fire them, right? Okay, so you're probably going to get destroyed, and that happened to a lot of the military, European military. They couldn't do anything with us on horseback by the way we rode. All right, and again, we would instigate fights with them, pick fights with them, where they think we would give them the numbers, or at least they think they would have the numbers. Then they would come in, and then we close in on them and just crush them. I forget the guy's name.
Yep.
In Marines, he is called.
I know, Dave. I know we also did stuff to them where like we knew the range of their weapons, and then we would come out and walk on the horseback. They'd be firing, and their shots ain't doing nothing. They firing and fight like, man, why can't I hit this guy? You know, and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, like you said, once they run out of ammunition, that's it. Light them up.
Yeah, and then you're getting lit up, right? And in hand-to-hand combat, I would say it won't come up, but and so I can't read it to you verbatim. But in hand-to-hand combat, when we actually did get off into, now we're going hand-to-hand with them, about 94% of the time we won. Especially if it's just them and not another tribe. 94%, and that's probably a conservative estimate. 94% of the times, hand-to-hand, with our knives, with our axes, with our tomahawks, and they've got their little knives, they got their pistols, their little flintlock pistols. 99% of the time, we won. And this is before we got a hold of muskets, right, and started using muskets ourselves. Now, remember, the biggest importers of weapons at that time were the Dutch, right? And so the Dutch got in friendly with the Iroquois. Actually, the Iroquois had more guns at one point than probably any tribe. Probably all tribes at one point the Iroquois had, because they had a deal with the Dutch. And, of course, they were doing the Dutch's bidding on attacking other tribes. The Iroquois got kind of gully. But so when we got a hold of the musket, right, we also improved on the musket from what I gathered. Now, again, the 1800s was a big, I don't know how they did it, but they took off in the 1800s. I do know how they did it. We helped, but, you get the point, okay? Now, when we started utilizing the rifle, particularly like the Winchester, and particularly the guns like the Colt, okay, there is have you ever seen Once Upon a Time in the West, Falls?
Yeah, yep, I've seen it.
It's probably my favorite Western. Once Upon a Time in the West, right? Okay, in the beginning of the scene, there is three desperados, if you want to call them that, right? They're coming to kill the person who's coming off the train. Okay, one of those cowboys, Woody Strode, right? Okay, now Woody Strode was a pretty big dude, chiseled dude, right? His boys have pistols, right? They have Colts. He has a rifle on his hip, like a gun, and he is faster with that, bringing that rifle off his hip, than they are with guns. Let me say that again now. This man has a rifle on his hip like a gun, and he is faster bringing that rifle off his hip and shooting it, right, and firing it, right, than they are with their pistols. Who were the best riflemen in the world? We were the best riflemen in the world. Who would actually, when we started utilizing the pistol more, who was the best pistoleros in the world? We were the best pistoleros in the world, right? Your average gunfight, they're usually 10 feet away from each other, correct? Okay, 10 feet away, you draw and pow. That's how it went, usually. Okay, we put salt in the game because we actually could stand back from 20 to 25 feet and kill them just as accurately as someone standing 10 feet away with a pistol. So when we got a hold of rifles and pistols, the methods never changed. Still guerrilla warfare, still morning attacks, still doing things of drawing the enemy in, right? And then just killing them. Still pretty much fighting from land, air, and sea, because we did come out of the water a lot of the times on people. That's the Huron were actually very well known for that, as were the Chippewa. They were known for that. The Seminole were known for it. The Tuscaroras were also well known for it as well. right? Because they were around bodies of water. How many lakes? How many rivers in the Tuscarora? I know the Neuse River, which flows through my town, is one of them. The Tar River. I think even as far down as the Cape Fear River. They they had the ocean. So yeah, they were known for it as well. I'm not so sure about the Cherokee, although the Cherokee were some tree fighters. A lot of them were tree fighters as well. I don't know about, say, the Lenape, right? I do know that the Lenape's every guerrilla warfare was different because every tribe was different and the people were different. But I do know as far as fighting skills, the Lenape, they pretty much they used serpentine, right? Where you're going from side to side like a snake, so where you're sidewinding like a snake, right? So when they're coming in on you, right? Again, it's not a straight line, and Europeans are used to a straight line because that's how they fought. So they're coming in serpentine. Let's say if there's 80 Braves coming in, they only lose 5. Meanwhile, the French, because that's generally who they were battling a lot of the times, I think it was it the French or the Dutch? Well, actually, it began to be the Dutch because they started falling out. But, okay, we lose 5, the Lenape, okay, they lose half their troops. They've got maybe 120, 200 troops out. They lose 100 of them. So you're talking 80 versus 100, and you still win. They got weapons that you don't have. Well, maybe by that time the Lenape already they did. They had muskets too, but they didn't rely on their muskets because remember, one shot you got to reload, right? So they have to make that shot count, right? So Indians for the most part relied on their weaponry more than they ever did the European weapons because they weren't. Well, of course, a flintlock pistol you can't really fire in the rain. You got to keep your powder dry, correct? So you're useless in the rain. So that's another strategy that the Indians would use against them. They fight them in the rain because now their weapons are nullified.
Yeah.
So it got to a point where, bring this up, man. Okay, now we're. Oh boy. Okay. Now we get there. Okay, here we go. Here we found it. I got it back now. I want to get this excerpt from you. This is Native Americans invented our gun culture, right? And yes, we stole that too. This is the name of the article. This is from the dailybeast.com, right? And in it, this is what she is saying. This is the part I want to get to you guys. Okay. Oh, it was the Mohawk as well, because the Mohawk in particular, they were dealing with the Dutch as well for weapons, of course. Right? Here it is. Wait a minute. Bear with me, guys. I had this stuff all set and going, but it's been a hell of a night. Okay. And I had it right where I wanted it to go. Okay. Okay. Let's see. It says, in The Skulking Way of War, right? This writer said that the Indians, they fought for acting more like wolves than men and fighting in a secret, skulking manner, lying in ambushment, thickets, and swamps by the wayside, and so killing people in a base and ignoble manner, right? And basically, they were trying to put them down because they didn't fight like men. They fought like wolves. Well, actually, wolves can fight pretty damn good. So, okay, but by the winter of 1676, the colonial authorities were singing a different tune. The only way to reverse the momentum of the war, and this was, what war is this? Let's see. I'll get back to what war it was. Okay. The only way to reverse the momentum of the war, they finally realized, was to adopt Indian tactics as their own. So, Hundreds of friendly Indians, many of them Christian converts, were hired to serve in joint units of cavalry and infantry as both scouts and soldiers, right? Okay, so this is the Puritan War. The Puritan War Council scoured around for colonial officers who understood the Indian way of war and were willing to adopt it as their own. So not only were they trying to recruit us to fight for them, they were also looking for other European soldiers, right, who were willing to adopt it, who had faced it and were willing to adopt it. Because, well, if they didn't, they weren't going to have a chance to win. All right. So yeah, we basically use the styles of certain animals to fight, of course, but the operative here is individualized training. Individualized training. When you are going to be a brave, right, you have to learn to think on your own. Of course, your chief is your chief, but you already got your game plan before the war started, and he expects you to now act and think accordingly once you are in battle. That has never been their strength. It isn't their strength today either, if you notice. All right? Now, again, keep in mind now that over 500 treaties signed. Okay, when we started joining their wars, right, joining their armies, and I don't know what you guys, okay, what do you guys think of the Buffalo Soldiers? What do you think of the Buffalo Soldiers, Paul?
I mean, how the history goes is, on one front, then they also helped, go after other tribes.
Yes, using Indian methods.
Right.
So would you consider them? Would you consider them sellouts?
Now I know. Now some of these, not sure how I would answer that. It's just like on other fronts. I mean, they're seen like, it's like it's like different dynamics to their formation. And I know they're coming out of the Seminole Scouts too.
Yeah, well, between the Buffalo Soldiers and notice their name, the Buffalo Soldiers, to distinguish them.
Yep.
Yeah. But by that time, they had accepted being Negroes by that time. And a lot of them had accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior. So they were fighting for, the crown, really unknowingly. And they had eschewed their indigenous history, really, by that time. Okay, we got 813 on. 813, you're on the Rich Report. What's up, bro?
Gabe.
What's happening, man?
I'm chilling, man. So,
hey, man, thanks for hanging in here with me, bro.
It's all good, man. So you mean to tell me that we're supposed to forget about the Europeans coming over here and just killing 100 million Mongoloids with 500 peace treaties? Come on, Gabe, man. Them Mongols fought to the death, man. Come on, we got to get serious right here. I mean, come on, man. I mean, really? 500 peace treaties? I mean, wow, these people really living our treaties out in commerce. That's what's so sad. These legal fictions right here. People got to understand that they didn't exactly, as we're told, they didn't come here and just start war. They was outnumbered.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
They were outnumbered.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're talking about from 1500 all the way up until 1600. That's 100-year period that they got to convince our people to buy into their religious and government system. And a lot of our people, we wasn't always cool with each other. We had different tribes and beef and stuff like that. So, they convinced a lot of our people to go along with the religious and government system, told them that they, found the real religious God of the earth and stuff like that, and, got our people to get on their side and stuff like that, to fight with them and stuff. People got to remember, too, that they did the same thing with the Moors over there in the Middle East. They got the Moors to fight against each other. You know what I'm saying? That's how they took the Middle East. If you go back and you look at the history in the clippings of what was going on, they got the Moors and the Negroes in the Middle East to start warring against each other. You know what I'm saying? And then brought them a peace treaty too, which they bring that treaty over here to be honored by the Europeans, even though they're not indigenous to this country. But you know, they people got to remember, all these trees didn't start to come down until the beginning of the 1900s when they got heavy equipment. So they was fighting us in forest. They didn't know their way around the forest. They had to get a lot of our people to, you know, do their dirty work.
To help them navigate. You know,
yeah, so this is a real good conversation right here, man. I mean, these people really got their ass kicked. You know, we settled down, bought into their system, and then at the end of the day, they really tricked us.
Yeah, and that's really what it was. We were actually we were more bamboozled than we were beaten. That's really how it went. And also remember, you take a guy like Andrew Jackson. You know, Andrew Jackson, after taking a loss, maybe say against the Seminole Army, what he would do is when he knew that the tribes, the men hadn't gotten back yet, right? He would then go to that village, and he would kill the women and children.
Oh
to
yeah.
Get even. Yeah, he would then kill the women and children. What happened to us later on is they started thinning us out, and they started thinning us out because less of us became Indians and more became Negroes. That's really what happened. And as we became Negroes, even though we had a strong family unit, it was not nearly as strong compared to that of us when we were Indians. And they just started thinning us out. Their weaponry got better, but even then, we fought well up into the 1900s. About, I'd say the last conflict ended in 1924.
Oh yeah.
Those are the last ones.
And you know what's funny about that, Gabe? That's right around the same time they came out with the Citizenship Treaty, the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. Yeah, that's when they came out with that, to say that if you were born, you know, if you're an Indian, born in the territories, and you know, in these territories, that you know, you could be a citizen now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
The last thing I'm gonna say is we got to remember what's going on now has been going on for a while, and you know, even after the wars, they couldn't deal with us. You know, so what they're doing now is what they started doing back a while ago, and that's bringing in immigrants. They could not handle us and defeat us unless they use immigrants to deal with us. You know, and they're not bringing in the Negro Cubans or the Black Puerto Ricans or the Black Colombians. They're bringing in all these biracial people to deal with us. You know what I'm saying? So they need these immigrants to deal with us, and until we wake up, they're gonna keep bringing these immigrants.
Yep. And I just seen something that I'm seeing also in our, just like you said, how they bamboozled us, and as we're in this paradigm, our folks in this paradigm that we're in, being bamboozled. I'm even noticing in our indigenous communities, we have their schools. That's the whole thing. We ain't even teaching our kids now. So in their school structure, I'm noticing they have our kids, indigenous, right, sitting up there saying the pledges of allegiances, and and waving the flags. I mean, it just, you know. But when I talk to some of the kids, you know, in particular, I have nieces and nephews. So when I talk to them, they be like, I don't feel like doing that, you know. So you know, what do I tell them? I tell them, don't do it. We're indigenous. We no darn pledge of allegiance. So
all right, now check this out. All right. Now these are eyewitness accounts, battlefield accounts, right? Of this is the Battle of Little Bighorn, right? This man named, John Silverstone know that the Indians used eagle horns. We could not see the Indians, but they were signaling all the time to each other with their little bone whistles, all right? And Crow King described how the Indian commanders used audible signals to direct their men. as did Charles DiRudio, who recalled, we heard the powerful voice of a savage. Of course, they call the savages. They got a nerve, crying out and making the same sound 4 times. And after these 2 signals, we saw 200 or more Indians leave the bluffs and the Ford River, evidently leaving the ground. So they communicated audibly, but by sound. They didn't communicate by rally men and all this other stuff that Europeans did, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay, so this guy, William O. Taylor, spoke of Indian leaders apparently using auditory signals to command their troops. On the morning of June 26, he recalled that at about 3 o'clock, just as it was growing light, there came 2 rifle shots from a low ridge in our front. This may have been the Indian signal to open fire, for in less time than it takes to write about, a perfect shower of bullets followed from all along their line. So, again, remember now, the way now, the Indian signals now, you see that in like the Army when they're out in the field where they talk with their hands and stop. They use their fists, and then they blah, 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 with the hand signals. That's us too. Pretty much every way the European fights in the Army, the Air Force, the Marines of the day is us. Because Romans didn't fight that way, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
Romans didn't fight that way either. Romans just had bigger armies than everybody else did. More weaponry than everybody else did. And now I'm not saying that the Romans couldn't fight. They fought pretty well. But if you put the Romans over here, even in their time over here, they'd get lit up. They wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't be a fight. It wouldn't be a fight at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just something to think about. Hey, bro, I appreciate you calling in, man, as always, man. Thanks for hanging in with us, brother.
You still on?
We got 240 on the line. 240, you're on the Rich Report. What's up?
OCO, everyone. It's Windwalker.
OCO, what's going on, bro?
OCO.
Hey. Good topic. Really good topic that you are discussing tonight. Oh, yeah. It's time
man.
for them
Something that you can relate to.
Oh, absolutely. You were talking about the Iroquois Confederacy. Actually, there were 54 nations of the Iroquois Confederacy to begin with.
Yeah.
And then after the American Revolution and George Washington, he decided to deal only with those 5 tribes, to recognize them, and the other ones went away, which is what they did, try to do, on paper. Just want to share that with you. So another thing you were talking about as far as the tactics, the tactics. Woody Strode, he was a bad brother. He was definitely a bad brother. There was one movie he played in. He was actually in regalia as a war chief.
Right. Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm. I remember. Yep. I've seen that one.
Yeah. But when you're talking about with the Romans, they were well organized. They learned from others. I mean, they learned from Hannibal's tactics and from the Greeks' tactics. They did get shut down by Attila the Hun and his armies, as well as Genghis Khan and his army.
They couldn't even beat the Britons. They had difficulty when they tried to invade what is now England. They had trouble because they couldn't deal with the terrain.
Right. That's why they built Hadrian's Wall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To keep you speak of the Britons. I mean, those Britons were actually indigenous Britons, and
yes, they were. They fought a guerrilla style.
And the Scots, they were indigenous. I mean, they weren't like they showed now. The bleached out, lily white. No, they were indigenous. I mean, they were fierce. Definitely.
Europeans in general, or I should say Caucasians in general, have never fought in a guerrilla type of style. That is the most complicated yet effective strategy to use, and that's not how they fight. The Greeks didn't fight that way either. More is bigger is better. Just like with America with the bombs and stuff, the U.S. government, I should say the U.S. with the bombs and the biggest, largest military in the world, or not the largest, obviously the Chinese. But the Chinese aren't great fighters anyway. Russia used to beat the hell out of them up until the 1920s. So, the whole bigger is better. I've got more bombs than you, baby. I mean, I think they're compensating for something, but hey, that's just me. But they've never been really one that have used a guerrilla style unless they had to adapt to it after getting their asses kicked, such as here in America. So, yeah, that's just the way it goes. Hey, hang tight, Wade Walker. I got 702 on the line. Got 702 on the line. You're on the Rich Report. What's up, bro?
Halito, what's good? Halito.
What's going on with you, man?
Hey, man, I was just wondering if I could ask you a question, dude.
Sure.
What's sexier than that show that you did last week? What's sexier than the show that you did last week that will last through hurricane season this year?
Damn, good question. And we're going to do it again next month.
All right. See if you can get some more of those, because I think if all those Indians, those hundreds of millions of Indians were genocided, maybe we should get back to busy and making some more arrow shooters and tomahawk throwers and archers.
How about that?
And gun manufacturers and, chemists and alchemists and some voodoo dancers and all that shit.
And shaman. We need some shaman.
All right.
And keep in mind now, the shaman in Indian culture, all right, if that shaman was a female, again, a lot of the times they would kill her first, but it wouldn't be easy. A lot of the times she's loaded with knives with daggers, darts, blow darts, the whole nine. I have read where, Indiana, what's the tribe? Oh, God. Oh, it'll come to me. But they went to kill her, and she killed 6 of them before they got her.
That's right, I'm talking about. So I'm seeing that visual of you with Nisi and your angels. Shout out to Janet, Phoenix Moon, and Rooted Sky. I can see you with their gun club. Teaching the ladies how to shoot. Throw knives. They might teach me a few things.
Nisi already shoots.
Exactly.
She might teach me a few things.
Exactly. That way, if the power and the internet go out, y'all might be held up in a church, but you guys are well taken care of, well protected.
Right. Right on.
Okay. All right.
Right on, man. Right on. Oh, no, bro.
Oh, no.
And I'll be getting up with you too, bro. I know you said you were coming to Charlotte, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're bringing it to your doorstep, sir.
Yeah. So I'll be getting in touch with you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right,
bro. Appreciate it. We got 405 on the line. 405. You're on the Rich Report. What's up?
Peace, brother.
Peace. What's going on, bro?
Man, you brothers is true seekers. Y'all heavy, and I'm a first time caller. I didn't know y'all was getting down like this.
We tried, but we got blanked out for a time.
Man, y'all brothers is heavy. My question is simple, but it's complex. But when was the break? What actually? And that's why I say that's why I want to reiterate. I'm a first time caller, so this might be a silly question.
No, there's no such thing, bro.
When was the break? When was it the treaties? When was the actual break? that we relinquished our power and turned away from our our essence and our culture and our. When was the break, brother? And that's my only question, brother. Good job, great show, and I'm gonna mute my line.
It's all good, bro. I appreciate you calling in and appreciate you hanging in with it, man. I mean, I really appreciate it. Let's see. The break came when we became Christians. That's when the break came, and you can see it today, right? That's when we started fighting for their causes, right? We would kill for them. We would kill each other for them. You see it today. How many cats do you know in the military? I know cats who are special. My brother tells me this all the time. Guys who are in special forces, all this type of stuff, right? They come home and they put down the gun because they're Christians. They're saved. So they put down the gun. They totally, don't teach their children to shoot, don't teach. They've got this special skill and they won't use it. Now, of course, anytime Wasichi will tell them to go and pick up that gun again, he will do it because he is worshiping a God that does not look like him, right? And anytime you worship, a God that doesn't look like you, you are the spiritual prisoner of those people who that God looks like. So, that's when the breakup, when we started accepting their religion. The icing on the cake is when we started accepting their education. Because education makes one arrogant. It makes you believe that you feel that you know more than the next person. All of a sudden now, grandma who's never went to school, who knows a hell of a lot more than you, but because you're educated, grandma's stupid all of a sudden. Grandma don't know what she's talking about. Grandpa crazy. That crazy backwards stuff. I'm educated. See what I'm saying? That got us. And it still got us today. It still got us today. And what do we consider those who don't, who bristle under education? And a lot of them are going to be males because, to be honest with you, school was a social playground for me. I never took it seriously. I would have gotten better grades if I had. I didn't necessarily get bad grades. I just wasn't completely engaged. I never bought into it. And I noticed that the guys who did buy into education, a lot of them I didn't get along with, because some of them were jerks. Now, when I say bought in, I mean fully bought in. It's like being a cop buying into being a cop, all right? That black cop, and I call him a black cop. He's gonna terrorize his own more than anywhere because he already knows the rules. He can't harm white folks. So to prove his mettle, he's gonna terrorize his own people, right? The same when you're educated and the same when you're religious. It's the same deal, all right? Okay, so, here we go. Here we go. Springfield 45 caliber single shot carbine. Okay, this was used by the 7th Cavalry, right? And this is what Brother Man was talking about. Okay, the Sioux and the Cheyenne were aware of the shell ejection problems that plagued the rifles used by American troops in the 1860s. Now, we're talking 1860s and 70s, where they would have pretty much shell problems that would get hot, and then the rifle fires, and then after a certain time, it doesn't fire anymore. It's too hot. It's heated, right? Okay, so the problem was that the spent cartridge sometimes wouldn't eject from the gun, especially once it had been fired a number of times. But when fired rapidly, the breech became foul, and the greasy cartridges often jammed and could not be removed by the extractor. So what did the Sioux and Cheyenne do? The Sioux and Cheyenne basically would just wait them out, let them fire their guns, and then go down and slaughter them. That's it. Okay? So, again, theirs is more protocol, following rules and orders. You already got your orders. If you're an engine, you already got your orders. You already got your orders before the night before, the days in advance. You got your orders. All you have to do, because we weren't soldiers, we were warriors, and warriors don't necessarily need a radio earpiece and to be told what to do, like you're Charles Xavier fighting Magneto or something. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be told what to do. So that's the difference. We're still warriors, but we're warriors now of a different kind, unfortunately. We're misguided warriors. We're misguided warriors. And again, I say this all the time to people because this cat today was trying to start this. Nigerian cat was starting this today, falls, right? And he was trying to start up with, we Nigerians, we known for being, fierce fighters and this and that. And I'm thinking, when? Well, fuck it. I didn't think it. I said it. When? When have you been known to be fierce fighters? I've never known any of you cats to be fierce fighters, especially when it comes to white folks.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest. When I see some of them here, I mean, they're not like our people. I mean, like you say, even when they, confronted with, I mean, our people be ready. Be ready
I'm just saying. I mean, I've never known them to be fierce fighters, throughout their history when it comes to white folks. I've never seen that. I tell you what I saw one time in Oakland, right? Okay, I'm in Oakland, and I'm living there. And this white cat who owned this establishment, he kind of like the Starbucks situation in Philly Falls, right? He was asking this guy to leave his establishment. The guy said, fuck it, I'll leave, it's no problem. He didn't give him a reason why he wanted him to leave. He had just been looking at him the whole time and just with just a look on his face of just disgust that this brother was eating in here. Okay, the manager of the place, however, was a Nigerian cat, right? Okay, so the guy goes outside. The owner follows him. The owner then grabs him by his shoulder and pulls him around because he was talking to him. He said, didn't you hear me talking to you? And the brother clocked him. And when I mean he clocked him, I mean he felt like he was dead, right? Okay, the Nigerian dude comes out. He gently picks up the nearly unconscious white dude, right? And he's crying, almost to the point of crying. Now, he's trying to protect him. Now, the brother ain't still attacking him. He's walking off. He went, after pulling him in the restaurant, he called the police and waited outside for the police to come so he could tell him what he saw about this, the whole night. Now, if I'm the manager of that store and the owner goes out and follows his brother and he gets clocked by him, that's his fucking problem. I ain't got anything to do with that. You shouldn't have went out there. You know how we are. You're breaking up, Falls.
You're
breaking up again. What's that?
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Same, like you said, he asked for that.
Yeah,
I mean, he served him right.
The guy had.
I can see one thing being in the store, but outside of the store, that's a whole nother ball game.
Hey, he left the establishment. He's out on the sidewalk. He's leaving the place, and the guy's yelping at him the whole entire. I mean, he sounded off on this guy like he just had an axe to grind, and he just wanted to take it out on this brother, right? And so when the brother clocked him, fortunately his head didn't hit the concrete, because if he did, he would have been concussed and maybe combed out. But that Nigerian cuddled him, and he's crying, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I cannot believe this is happening. Went in, called the cops, waited for the cops to come outside. When they came, he waved them down.
That's crazy.
And the brother's long gone by this time. All right, he's long gone. All right, but told him all the information that he could tell, and then had a nerve to point in our direction like we were going to tell on that brother. And we're looking at him like, oh, hell no, that ain't going to happen. And so when he asked us about it, we said he bought it on himself. He initiated combat when he grabbed him by his shoulder and jerked him around. He initiated the combat. Yep. He got clocked. Sucks to be him. So our fighting spirit is still there.
You know what I say to that? He learned his lesson.
What's that?
Learned his lesson.
Yes.
He learned his lesson. Don't do that again.
Yeah, don't do that again. Or maybe not, because there's a lot. They're hard-headed as shit. But, I mean, overall, the fighting spirit is still there. We just now fight for them. We fight their wars. We fight in their military, fight their wars, and then we fight each other. It's still ongoing with us out in the streets fighting each other. They're doing the same thing. Right. Nothing's changed. The problem is what we don't realize is they are still at war with us. The war has not changed. Now, unfortunately, as black people and African Americans, we are now accepting their terms and conditions. You don't think so? Just again, look at them protesting out in Philly like that. They are clamoring for acceptance. When all you got to do is just don't go there anymore. Period. Don't go there anymore. Make no mistake about it. We make up about a good percentage of customers at Starbucks. Just don't go anymore. See, that's a strategy of war. To boycott is a strategy of war. We no longer adopt strategies, tactics anymore. We're all emotional. It's Jesus. It's, and even the Allah cats, they're just as bad. The Hebrew Israelites, they're just as bad. All right. So we don't think in strategy. We don't think in terms of, if I do this, this will happen. We don't that way anymore. And it's just got us all it's just got us wet like a freak in this piece. I mean, seriously, choice of words, but you get the point. But we did, once upon a time, we did think in strategy. We did so much so that they adapted it. They not only adopted it, but adapted it. Until now, it is a part of their culture, but not really, because the everyday white boy off the farm, he don't fight like that. The average everyday white boy in the city, he don't fight like that. The average everyday white chick don't fight like that, period. Which is why one sister equals 7 white women, one brother equals 5 white men. So it's something to think about. I didn't really get all the facts off. I don't know what happened tonight. Blog Talk got me kind of jacked up. Then next thing you know, Blog Talk jacked me up overall with my laptop. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to revisit this one, people. There's a lot of more that I didn't really get into, damn it. But we'll get back to it. Balls, I want to thank you for hanging in there with me, bro.
Yeah, man. I enjoyed the show. I mean, this was definitely a great topic, man.
Oh, it was a great topic, but the show's
our military prowess.
Yeah. They pretty much gave me the dunce cap and put me in the corner tonight, right? Fortunately, I was able to talk my way out of it. Try to make something happen with the show.
Hanging there long enough, right?
Yeah, you're hanging there long enough. They're going to have to pretty much let you have your way. That's how I look at it. So it is what it is. So we got about a minute left in the show. You got a final thought?
I mean, just getting back to knowing really who we are. I mean, and like you said, when it comes to businesses and things like that, stop patronizing them. Stop going in there. Stop giving them your money.
Yeah, right on. And it's pretty simple for me, peeps. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
bro.
And like you said, for our youth, I mean, shoot, teach them. Teach them. You've been in the military and all this. You ain't teaching them. You're not teaching them anything. Teach them.
Right on. It's pretty simple for me, peeps. Learn your history and then you won't repeat the mistakes we're making now. Until next week, we'll be back, peeps. Peace.